Michael, thanks for coming today to assist us and give us some important information in this effort.
Excuse me.
What?
Can we get the spelling of his name too?
Could you spell your name, please?
Yeah, Michael, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, Magee, M-A-G-E-E.
Thank you.
And the name of your company is?
Michael Magee Trucking.
And what type of trucking do you do?
2004 Peterbilt, 359.
I mean, what kind of trucking?
I pull a curtain van. I haul general commodity, beer, wine, water, lumber.
Up and down the freeways?
With the I-5 corridor mainly.
So you were faced with this issue of the filter system being required by the CARB law?
Yes, I was required to have the filter installed by July 1st.
Okay, and
of 2014.
if you didn't do that?
I was susceptible to a $1,000 a day fine, is what I was told.
Were you able to get any financial help
No,
from
sir, I wasn't.
the state? And what did they tell you?
Was told by C.A.R.B.
So
that
we have.
Please talk one at a time. You're interrupting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We can't both talk at the same time because we're being reported. The court reporter has
Okay.
to take down our testimony. So you talk, I'll talk.
Okay.
We'll work that out. So you were told that you would be charged a fine if you did not cooperate?
We were told the fines would be $1,000 a day for being out of compliance.
Okay, and then I asked you if you were able to get any financial assistance from the state.
C.A.R.B. themselves told me I would not qualify for financial assistance because my gross income was too much.
Did they offer you any guidelines, anything in print that would verify whether or not you were able to get some financial assistance?
No, they never did.
All right. So you did choose to comply with the law, did you not?
To stay in business, yes, I did.
And what did that cost you?
Oh, it was $18,041 and some odd cents.
So in complying with the law, what did you do?
Well, at the beginning in January, we had 1 million miles on our motor, and we were told and we were advised to it's not good to filter a motor with that many miles on it. So we in-framed the motor. We did a platinum in-frame kit on the motor in January. We ran the probe on the motor in March to tell us what particular filter that we were required to run due to the it's the probe. Just it was installed in the truck. I ran it, and it told us that we needed a DPF 35, so we got that done. And in June we'd ordered the system. That came in at the end of June, and by July 11th we had it on the truck. And
so that was a retrofit to install the filter system?
yes, it was an install filter.
And that cost you $18,000
Yes, sir.
and some change?
Yes, sir.
Then did you also rebuild your engine?
Yeah, we did that. We did that 6 months prior to putting the filter on.
Okay, and what did that rebuild cost you?
That was right at $15,000.
So combined, I think you told me you have spent almost $40,000.
Yeah, just shy of 40,000.
One at a time?
Yeah.
Okay. And at the time that you were required to do this, did you feel like your truck needed this kind of rebuild and attention?
Personally, knowing my truck, no. I could have ran it. I could have ran that motor another 3 years.
And you do all your own mechanical work?
I do all my own maintenance.
So you know your truck very well?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Once you did, strike that. Before you did the retrofit and rebuild, what was your gas mileage, your fuel mileage?
Fuel mileage for the year of 2013 was 6.23.
So you spent approximately how much per month on fuel at that time?
Oh, I can't tell exactly what the price. I know what the total gallons are.
About $2,300.
Yeah, that's we talked about that earlier, right?
Right. And so then after the retrofit, what are you experiencing in fuel economy?
After the end frame on the motor and the installation of the filter, the fuel mileage now is at 5.88, and we're using 1,500 gallons a month.
Okay, so yes, the gallons per month before the retrofit was about 1,100, and the gallons per month now is about 1,400.
Yep.
So you are experiencing an additional 300 gallons per month because of the filtration system.
Yes, sir.
And while the fuel cost of fuel has been a benefit, it's still a financial burden for the additional fuel cost.
Still using more fuel.
And you're holding your breath for the future as far as what the fuel costs will be.
Just praying to God every day it stays where it's at.
After the fuel filter was put on, you also experienced a difference in power?
Yeah, loss of power.
And why is that?
We had to derate the motor.
And what does that mean?
Well, basically, we had to cut the fuel back on, just for simple terms, it had to cut the fuel back on it, because when you apply more fuel to the motor, the more exhaust comes out, the faster it will plug the particulates filter.
And therefore, the more often you have to clean the filter?
Right now, the filter, for the warranty based on it, it has to be cleaned before the thousandth hour or 50,000 miles. Okay, I have a monitoring system on the particulates that tells me the restriction ratios on it, and I have a rough idea how many hours I have on it, but it's getting close to after being cleaned. And to have it cleaned it's $500. There's getting to be more places in Reading that do this, and so they all fluctuate on different pricing, but it's about an average of $500 to have it cleaned. And it's an average of the truck being down 3 days, so therefore there's 3 days of revenue lost on the truck. Okay, if the filter goes to the cleaner and it's a process of baking up to 1800 degrees, they bake the carbon and the soot that's out of it to clean the filter. Now, if the filter can't be cleaned, then they tell you, well, this can't be cleaned, it can't be baked out, it needs to be replaced. Replacement elements are $4,500 a piece. So you don't know that until after the 8th hour that it's been in the baker. When it comes out, then they do a flow test on it, and if it doesn't flow properly, then the filter needs to be replaced.
So you have to be very, very careful to monitor carefully so that you don't have to replace the filter. You have to clean it as necessary to avoid replacing it, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
What are you looking to the future? Strike that. You are experiencing some pretty serious financial problems or difficulties because of this system, right?
Well, the payment on the filter is $1,140 a month. Mm-hmm. And it was a total financing of $20,000. Mm-hmm. Now, see, I had options when I did this. Could have bought a new truck, could have bought a newer truck, or I could retrofit the truck I got. Being I know the truck that I have, I'm not starting off with the used one, learning it all over again. And the new ones that I'm seeing that the guys are buying, they're having a lot of problems with them. They're having problems with the ECMs, the EGRs, the filters themselves. This is on the new trucks. Mm-hmm. So I looked at a financial which way to go to be the most economical for me, to where it's not going to burden me so much. And it came to retrofitting my truck, putting this filter on, and which, like you said, with the in-frame of the motor and the filter, came right to almost $40,000 versus $165,000 to $181,000, depending on what truck you buy. Well, then you do that, then your insurance goes up because it's a newer truck, of course. Payments on a new truck are anywhere between $1,700 and $2,700 a month, depending what the down payment is, or that's with the financing. So economically, I'm still doing good with what I've got, but this thing that's the filter that's on there is like we talked earlier, it's taking the life away from the new motor. I'm experiencing blow-by now, and like we spoke earlier, I'm getting blow-by out of the motor now at 100,000 miles on the rebuild that I didn't have that on the 1,000,000 miles on the truck. So, without getting to explaining the geographics how a motor works, it's something's pushing oil past the rings, and it's causing the blow-by, so it's the restriction in the exhaust.
I think you explained it to me that the back pressure that's a result from this filter is making it difficult for the turbo system to work correctly.
Yes, it is.
And
we've already had one turbo fail. We've had a turbo failure already, and my opinion is it was because the back pressure in the filter is what caused the turbo to fail.
And that then impacts the life of the engine.
Yes, sir, it does.
So you did some planning, your own personal planning as far as your future. You had your retirement plan laid out and so forth, correct?
get the truck paid for, save as much money as I can, and retire when I'm 60.
Now what?
Well, now it looks like 65. Or according to my wife, I'm not going to retire.
That's what you told me.
Yeah.
And you're also looking down the road at 2020 and what you might have to do with your truck?
Well, 2020 comes, I will have to replace this vehicle.
And why is that?
Because it will not be CARB compliant. The certificate I have now is good till 2020. Okay, we're hearing now. This is just what we're hearing. I mean, we hear so much. What I see on the internet and what I hear other guys saying, regulations and rules are changing. By 2018, my truck won't be compliant. So then here it is now, 2018. Now I'm being forced to replace the truck. So the decision whether I'm going to buy another used one or I'm going to go into deeper finance and buy a brand new one, decisions will have to be made then. I won't have the option to retrofit this one again or do the upgrades on it because we're told there will be no upgrades available. So that's part of, you're talking about the future, that's what we're looking at.
All right. One last question. You heard some discussion earlier about the location of the filter and the temperatures. Could you help us understand that?
Well, the filter's located, on my particular truck, it's located directly under the passenger door. Where a Peterbilt, and on a standard Peterbilt, that's where a utility box is mounted. The utility box was removed. Another box was, that the filter is installed inside, is in the place of that utility box. So yeah, you come off the turbo, you drop down 1.5 feet, and then boom, you're in the filter. Okay, then it comes out of the filter and it goes up the exhaust. Anytime you put something hot inside an aluminum box, you're going to get heat, and they do get hot. I've seen mine as much as 800 degrees. Now, your normal pyrometer temperatures do get that much, and they do exceed that amount, but that's coming out of the motor. But muffler systems and your exhaust is designed to take the heat and take the pressure out. Now it's basically the biggest way to explain this, to understand how this filter is working for me, is put a sponge in a straw and try to blow through the straw. Air's going to go through, but it's not going to go through real easy. And that's what we're experiencing. Now that box where it's at, it gets hot. It gets hot enough to where you can't touch it, can't put your hands on it, but at the same time you can't touch the exhaust pipe either. But the exhaust pipe is free open, the exhaust goes all the way through it. So and like I say, mine is that there's several different systems. There's the DPF system, then there's the urethra system, and there's I don't know exactly how many there are, but what mine is, all mine does is catch the carbon. And then whatever, not knowing it's being a science, I don't know, but whatever's in there with the carbon, that goes out the exhaust. That has a really particular smell to it. I don't know what it is, but especially on a hard pull, that's when I really smell it. I don't know what it is. I've asked Caterpillar, the people that did the install for me, what is this smell? What am I smelling? Nobody has an answer. Can't be good for you because it stinks. But and it's like the gentleman said, there's aluminum, there's plastic, there's wiring, there's fuel hoses, there's electrical hoses, there's everything within 10 inches of that box. That filter is only about 4 inches below the main frame rail. And inside that frame rail is most of your electronical, your air lines to your braking system, and there's a lot of things right there that are getting pretty warm. But like we talked earlier, is the filter doing its job? Yes, the filter's doing its job. I can tell by the soot that's in the end of my stacks, there is none. It's catching the carbon.
So it's working.
So it's working. Yes, it is working. I've got, usually in between shifts and a hard pull, I'll get a black haze of smoke. Now we have the filter on, I get zero smoke at all. Okay. So, like I say, without being a scientist, I don't know what's in the carbon or what it's trapping. I know it's trapping it in the filter, and it's coming real close to a time when it's going to have to be cleaned.
So if we were to ask about exhaust gases, what is occurring, or has there been a change in the exhaust gases as a result of the filter system? This is a question I was handed, so I'm not exactly sure what they're trying to ask.
Whatever's coming out of that filter, and I know it's not carbon, stinks. Gas stinks. I mean, it's got a smell to it. It's got an odor to it. It's not an eye-watering odor, but it's you can smell it. I just want to know what it is.
But
What's causing it? You know?
The gases are going into the atmosphere. They're
Yes, something
coming out.
is. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Michael, thank you. I have no further questions of the witness.
Yes, ma'am.
On this, excuse me, the smell that you're talking about, is it a noxious smell?
You know what a catalytic converter smells like when it plugs up on your car? It's kind of like that.
I'm going so
But I'm
fast,
just-
it's all behind me when it smells.
Well, usually the guy in front of you plugs up when you smell it.
Okay, now, does it also make you feel sleepy?
I haven't experienced that, no.
You have not experienced that, okay. What has happened to your insurance since this has come about, since the CARB? Has your cost of your insurance risen?
Yes, we did increase the value of the vehicle, just for the fact that these things are burning up. These trucks are burning up because of these things, and I've seen the evidence of 2 of them that have burned up, and whether or not it was the filter or not, that's where the fire started on that side of the truck, and you know, that's my opinion. But yeah, I did increase the value of my truck just for that fact, is if I do lose it to a fire, that gives me more money to replace it.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, has the insurance company, have the rates gone up? Not because you've increased the value of your truck, but
Yes,
just...
my insurance lady's telling me yes. And I worship the ground she walks on. Along with my wife.
Hank?
Thank you, sir, for testifying.
I have one
I'm sorry.
question. How many times have you had to have your filter cleaned?
We haven't yet. Filter's just now 7 months old.
Okay.
We're getting to the point where now we'll start going in, once a week I'll get in the shop, we'll plug into the monitor, we'll see where the restriction's at, and hopefully we'll catch it before it's too late to where it can't be cleaned and I have to replace it. That's,
And it's my understanding that the debris that's removed from the filter upon cleaning is now considered hazardous waste and must be disposed of as hazardous by the dealership. They handle that.
well, they've got a machine. I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't really checked into it, but apparently this thing goes in this machine and it's baked at 1800 degrees for I've been told 8 hours, 6 hours. So again, I'm not sure. But what it's doing is it's baking the carbon that it has collected. And then there's a vacuum system that pulls the baked carbon out. And it's because the filters I've seen look almost like your vacuum, the filter that's in a shop vac, except it's a solid piece. I don't see any air goes through it at all, but it's designed. And like I said, it's working, because I usually get black soot out when in between shifts and in hard pulls. I don't see anything out of my exhaust now. And the inside of my pipes are rusty, so there's no carbon buildup inside at all. So as far as if I get it clean, if it goes in, it gets cleaned, it comes out fine, they put it back in, we'll go another 1,000 hours, 50,000 miles, and then we'll start monitoring and we'll do it again. I don't know how many times it can be cleaned. I've been told they can only be cleaned twice, then they have to be changed, but I don't know that for a fact either. These are just things that we hear, things that, some stuff we see on the internet, but I do know that a majority of them that I have been told that have gone to the cleaners came back non-cleanable. And like I said earlier, it's $4,500 for the element.
Thank you.
No problem.
One more quick question. When you talked about replacement of the filters and it costs $4,500, do I have this right, that the test has to be done on the filter? It has to be cleaned for the $500 fee, and don't know if it has to be replaced till it's been cleaned.
Yep.
So it's actually $5,000 to replace that filter.
That's what it would be.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your testimony. We appreciate it.
Thank you.